It really is about asking the right questions.
Welcome to the Big5D Podcast, featuring engaging conversations about tech and business in Africa. This episode of the Big5D Podcast is brought to you by Dialogue, answering your local questions with unique data and insights. Look for them at localdialogue.com.
Come join us up on stage. We're going to be chatting and keep it really casual and conversational. So, but the topic of our conversation is around agency matchmaking. So I don't know if anyone in the room can relate to finding perhaps a service provider when it comes to marketing or advertising your business, but then you've been burned in the past. And sort of feel a little bit misled, and then the relationship hasn't quite worked out in terms of getting your business needs met from a marketing perspective. So it seems to be quite an issue in the industry, and I think there's a lot of ways in which we can tackle it, but it's, you don't know what you don't know, and it makes it very difficult to navigate and find the right partners. And so what ends up happening is, as SMEs, especially startups, you feel that you need to do it all by yourself. And there's sometimes challenges in the briefing process. So I have Bianca here. Bianca and myself come from agency background, advertising background, for at least about 17 years. But we don't look that old. But considering the hours that we spend in the industry, very long working hours, and I can see a lot of people can relate, it is not a 9-to-5 job, guys, when you work in this industry. But I think with the experience that we both bring to the table here, we are all very passionate about startups, about small businesses. It is such a fundamental and important part of our economy that literally keeps the lights on, unlike Eskom sometimes, but I'll just say my nuts there. So we're going to just cover in about trying to help you find the right service provider, particularly from an agency point of view. So guys, use this opportunity to ask questions. And so if you are in a position within your business that you are looking for outsourced help to help support your business to grow, to help market your business, to help your business to get out there to market, use us, pick our brains to your heart's content. But I'm going to kick it off with the first question for you, Bianca. What would your advice be to a startup business, or actually just any business that maybe has been burned in the past by a service provider or an agency that they do, and now they know that they need help with their marketing support, but they just don't know how to safeguard themselves from making sure that they are choosing the right agency or marketing service partner? What would your advice be for an SME on that?
Man. Is this on? Yes. Tick, tick. For me, it really is about asking the right questions. It's very easy to get caught up in fancy websites and big client logos and go like, oh, wow, these people must be wonderful, but they might not necessarily be the right fit for you. What you need to ask is, how are they going to approach your goals? What is their strategy going to be to achieve your goals, and why are they making that recommendation? Another thing that sort of puts smaller businesses off, or they like, these people don't understand me, or whatever the case may be, is a good digital agency should be able to adapt their strategy. It doesn't matter what industry you're from, what vertical you're in. They've got the knowledge, they've got the skill, and it's not a cookie-cutter approach. It's not like you're going to get exactly the same strategy because we've worked in this vertical, in this industry. And that's what strategy is about at the end of the day anyway. So that's super, super important. Another thing that some clients struggle with is all the buzzwords and the terminology that comes along with digital marketing, and there's many. There's so many acronyms, like we should actually have a handbook with all the
I actually did create a handbook, by the way. It was about 8 pages long, just of acronyms. And so when I had to do workshops and consulting sessions for clients, I would be like, okay, here's your handbook. And that was just like on digital or display advertising. That wasn't even like just the marketing jargon. And I've also seen like a lot of people often too embarrassed to actually say, sorry, it might be a stupid question, but what does LMS mean, or LTV, or CTR, or CPM, or LMNOP? It's the amount of acronyms is just ridiculous. And then when you get an email, what I've often found in experience is people actually just start making up their own acronyms. That's ridiculous. So make sure your agency partner does not speak in acronym language for you. I think that's a very good one.
Exactly. Yes. So I mean, an acronym handbook, very helpful, but I mean, the ChatGPT, you know? That could be helpful. But you want your agency to be able to explain things to you clearly, like in layman's terms, because you're going to get a report or you're going to get an email and there's going to be stuff on there and you're going to go, click, click, and it's all good and well to write words and insights and stuff, but the client needs to be super, super clear in terms of what it is that the agency is giving them. As an example, what are the KPIs? So is it based on clicks or impressions, and what's the cost for that, and the acronym associated with that? Be sure you understand. Make them explain it to you very, very clearly.
Show of hands, who knows what a KPI is?
Okay, what is a
Who doesn't
CPM?
know what a KPI is? Key performance indicator. But do people know what that actually means in terms of your business and your marketing? Does anybody want to have a go?
Is there
got another microphone over here, sorry. If anyone wants to have a go and actually share about what your answer would be on the KPI for your business.
So I always look at KPIs as the metrics that you're measuring your performance on. If you're not measuring your performance, how do you know whether you're getting towards your goals or you're heading in the wrong direction?
Yes. Exactly. So
what is the measurement?
Us as an agency, we never take anything live for a client without clear objectives, clear KPIs, and what that looks like, because we also need to be held accountable to make sure we improve those results so that the client gets more bang for their buck at the end of the day. Especially if you have a client that's got a smaller budget, you've got to be really wise and strategic in terms of how you use that budget. If you have a smaller budget, don't be on 4 platforms, maybe be on 1. Depends on which one is right for your audience, your objectives, and your goals.
Bianca, what advice do you have for SMEs when it comes to contracts? If a small business is wanting to, let's say they decide, okay, you're a good business, I want to give you my business. We've now crossed that line.
Yeah.
What would the terms of engagement be in actually starting business, and perhaps how do you maybe differ from other agencies and how they operate?
Yeah, so terms of engagement is super, super important, but before you get to that point, is before you sign a contract or before you commit to a really big container, is the agency should be able to offer you a top-line audit or top-level review just to take a look under the hood so they can actually understand what it is that you're doing before they offer you a solution. And that way you'll also be able to see whether you are a good fit for each other. maybe you're like, no, we don't really like what they've said because they don't really understand our business. But it's important that they give you something prior to engagement to show to them, we've actually put in some work here to show you guys where the shortfalls are, where's the low-hanging fruit, and then make a suggestion based on that, based on what your goal is, your objectives, your brief, etc.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I know from like big, large agencies, like what we call like, perhaps like the Big Five, right? Like the publicist groups and the Ogilvies and all that kind of jazz. The sort of business model has always been like an agency commission off ad spend for that. But I find that business model quite flawed because it incentivizes the agency to almost mismanage your ad spend, because the more money you as a business are giving them for ad spend, the more commission that they're getting. And if the campaigns are not performing well and they're not getting like their sales or the leads are coming through, then it's like, oh, just give us more money. And then that creates like, that's like a recipe for disaster in terms of a client-agency relationship. Are there any other business models that agencies engage with clients other than just an agency commission rate?
So, look, I don't necessarily disagree with the commission structure, because with the commission structure comes the KPI and the promise to deliver on that budget. It's their prerogative to make sure that they then achieve what you've given them. Telling them we need more budget is not necessarily the right strategy. So as your agency, they need to be transparent, they need to be clear and say to you, like what we do as an example, we'll do a search volume report, look at how competitive the space is, and then make a suggestion on how much budget they should be spending to reach their KPIs. So not necessarily a bad thing. Obviously some, excuse my language, agencies will take the piss and say we need more money because then they get a bigger commission. But that's why you've got to trust your partners. And a lot of agencies or clients don't necessarily trust their partners because, like you say, they've been burnt, right? Yeah. And that's another thing that is a red flag, is if there's no transparency, there's no communication, you don't really know what's happening with your money. So they're not doing reporting or having a status meeting with you or going, shit, we see this thing's not working. Okay. Let's have a chat. Can we pivot and go to this channel rather, because your performance is better there, as an example. So that's where it comes with regards to budget management, strategy, transparency, and optimization.
Okay, so those are like your tactics for building trust with clients then?
Absolutely.
Because that was going to be my next question, but you already answered it. And like retainer agreements or contracts, or like how long should a business go into? Because I'm, from an agency background, when you're onboarding a new client, there's a lot of foundational work, there's a lot of setup work that needs to happen. And that takes time. Sometimes you get clients, and especially small businesses and stuff, we're impatient people. Like we want results now. Yeah. We wanted them yesterday. It's like, when did you want that campaign to go live? Yesterday. And I suppose like there's been like a couple of businesses that have been burned in the past where they sign into like a fixed term contract of like a year or 2 years. Yeah. And then the relationship starts to dwindle, and I think the SME sector just cannot afford to sort of take those risks. So do you offer any type of like contract engagements where it's like you'll work with someone on a month-to-month basis, or does anyone else in the audience have any experience of working with an agency service provider or offering service to your clients to say, do you deal it on an annual contract basis? Do you work on a month-to-month contract basis? Is there like a minimum spend basis?
No. So to be fair, we encourage our clients to sign for a year, but we do have an exit clause of 3 months. So once after 3 months you're not happy with us, bye. After 3 months, it also gives us the opportunity that by that stage we've gathered enough data to provide more additional insights and provide different further strategic input. An agency or client that has a smaller budget necessarily is like, shit, I'm not going to sign for a year, are you mad? What we'd like to do with those type of clients is what we do as an agency. We offer complimentary audits of either your Google ad accounts or your website from an SEO perspective. We identify where you can make small tweaks, tell you those small tweaks, small cost to fix that for you, and then you just hand over the account back to the client. Then what you could do is have maybe a monthly review at a small fee and say, we've noted this, you should change this, or you can have that conversation with the client on a quarterly basis then. So we've had lots of smaller clients come to us, and the education bit was really important, and they really like that part, because then they can kind of go, we can't afford to pay a big management fee. Can you maybe do a little bit of training with us? And then that's kind of like a once-off thing. So
Yeah,
it depends.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. And I get it. I understand like from like a year contract, because you also need the client to commit and put the effort in. I've also had experiences where the client's like, okay, well, you're my agency service provider. Now you're in charge of getting sales for my business.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, I don't know how many times I've had to say this. Marketing does not replace sales, and sales does not replace marketing. Marketing is there to support your sales efforts. It doesn't mean that you as a business now get to sit back and then watch and let the agencies run around like headless chickens to try and get some leads in there and convert those leads of yours into sales. And then you barking back at your agency service provider and saying to them, like, I'm not getting money in my bank account. Like, where is my return on investment or my return on ad spend kind of thing? Like, it is a partnership. It requires equal amounts of effort between both companies. And also, as a business, you're not in the business of marketing, but your marketing is just such a vital, fundamental aspect in order to help your business succeed. You don't have a strong internal sales and marketing team within your department. You're putting unhealthy pressure on an external company to sort of deliver those results for you. And it really is just like a teamwork sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I've seen a couple of agencies where they, have become quite like an intense screening process before even deciding to engage and onboard a client has been an interesting.
Yeah, that's very, very true. But again, like I said, your strategic partner will make sure that the KPIs are clear beforehand and not say to you, we're going to get you 100 leads within the first week. That's just not going to happen. And sometimes what we also struggle with clients with is they don't communicate to us whether they are actually getting the leads or not. So then we don't know, is it working, is it not working? Because we see the data and analytics, whatever the case may be, but that's where it stops. We're not the person picking up the phone and following up on that lead type of thing. So there has to be transparency from the client back to the agency as well in terms of what they're seeing, which supports the agency to go, cool, what we're doing is working, maybe we need to change this, whatever the case may be. Because we don't have that information, unfortunately. We don't have client data, that type of stuff, so yeah.
But aren't the clients supposed to give, can't you access that? Isn't there integrations that they can do?
Well, we can.
allows you to get
There might be some fancy API tool that would show us that, but we still don't know if the lead actually materialized. That's what I'm saying, right? So we can bring the horse to the water. We can't make the horse drink, basically.
Where's sales coming, guys? Yeah.
But yeah, if it's something different, like signing up for a newsletter or that type of thing, that's obviously a soft sell. That's easy. But if it's an actual policy or I don't know, something that's someone
Selling a
is
car, signing a contract,
exactly.
or a house.
We won't know.
Big purchases that require
Correctly.
lots of paperwork.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have another question for you, but before I ask the question, because otherwise you and I can just talk our
I'm loving
heads
this.
off over here. I know. I think we kind of neglect anyone else. Does anybody have any questions before I ask the next one?
I've got a mic. So
Okay, there we go.
Having a mic allows
you
me
power.
to ask a question.
Sure.
Okay, and then he's got a question
Yes.
there too.
So,
All right.
Bianca, as you can see that this is more about an Africa leading business and tech.
Mm-hmm.
And then I know that over the last couple of days, yesterday, we kept on saying, we're avoiding AI. There's no way that we can avoid AI. Tell me, how do you see all these technological advances as a threat or an enabler to the agency business model?
Guys, AI has been around in digital marketing forever. Google's been running on AI since forever. Facebook's been running on AI since forever. It's all about the algorithms and stuff that they run in the background. We as an agency don't necessarily see AI, tech, and that type of thing as a threat because there's still human invention needed to make your campaign work. You can't just say, plug and play, leave it, and expect that the person's going to get the results. The AI tool cannot think of the strategy because that is not what they can't engage with the client, they can't discuss it, there has to be human intervention. So from an AI tech perspective, us as an agency, we don't find it a threat. Because we are so involved and build such good relationships with our clients that there is always human intervention. But you get the bigger agencies that've got like tech stacks and all this type of things, and if you start working with a bigger agency, you pay the bigger fee. So we rely on things like Google Analytics integration with our campaigns, Facebook and our link with Google Analytics. We look at that data as our source of truth, as opposed to going, oh, AI is going to handle the tech for us, if that answers your question.
I think it does. We have a question in the back over there. Please introduce yourself before you ask the question.
Go.
And then
I'm
we got another
Dylan
question
from
back.
Digital Doorway. I was curious, how do you, because clients can sometimes be a bit cagey about being transparent and setting up those feedback loops which are necessary to understand what the performance is. How do you kind of schmooze them into making them feel comfortable sharing their sales data and just being transparent about it?
Buy them drinks.
Look, we're not necessarily asking the client to give us the data in terms of what they're capturing on their side. It's a discussion in how are the leads looking on your side. So it's an open line of communication going, shit, like, are you seeing anything? Are you not seeing anything? And then again, there's the trust that you have with the client and the transparency. Communication, guys, always. Never leave your client in the dark. Don't lie. Be honest. If you've made a mistake, own up to it. Clients respect that and they appreciate that. They're also humans, we make mistakes, but just to get back to your point, no, it's not about the actual data, it's more discussion in terms of how's it looking, is it picking up on your side, is it slow, and then we can discuss maybe tactic changes or that type of thing. But also remember, campaigns take a time to build up, so you can't expect like boom, 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 boom in time that you're going to see this stuff, right? So it takes a while to build up to start seeing the results.
I think I can also add to that answer, especially for e-commerce based businesses, everything's trackable. So if you have a CRM system and you've got like your Shopify account or whatever on your site, there's marketing efforts, there is tracking links and stuff to actually directly associate where that ad spend or that marketing budget has gone through and what's attributed to that sale in that link. We're not, as agencies or marketers, expecting you to show us your entire company financial statements and that of like what your employee costs or and that kind of thing. Nor are we needing like personal customer information in that. It's literally just, it's always just important in whichever way a client is comfortable with and capable of being able to provide, is just providing that link from the output effort where it sort of connects in terms of the sale or the conversions. And that connection is very vital, and being able to monitor how it ebbs and flows through various cycles is also very important, because at the end of the day, your sales are not consistent all the time. It fluctuates. It could be seasonal. It could be a certain time of day. So having a conversation with the client to say, okay, so when did those sales come in? It's not, that's not feasible to be able to have that. But you can track it digitally, and yeah.
And just another thing with regards, sorry, do you want to ask a question first?
Yeah, but you can do your other thing quickly.
Okay, my other thing quickly. Okay, cool. Just with regards to customer data, there are also opportunities for your marketing agency to take your first-party data that you have and plug that into their campaigns and then target those people directly. That data is all scraped though. So if I'm loading it into Facebook, Facebook's not going to know this is Kwesi who lives in Durbanville and he likes tea type of thing. It's literally just, it matches it with a phone number or an email address, and then if it can pick up that person on your database, we can actually advertise to that person. That was nice when you have like promotional stuff and you want to just speak to your existing audiences. What we can also then do once we upload these lists are create lookalike audiences to have an audience that has an affinity to be the same to your audience or your client, your customer, who would most likely also be interested in buying that shoe or that whatever the case may be. So from a data perspective, there's many ways to skin a cat, but there's always privacy around the data as and when we use it. I mean, we have some clients that we sit with and they want to upload their data alone, they buy it themselves, so we sit there and we guide them through how to upload it because they just don't want to hand over their data because they're just like a little bit icky about it. But there are other ways to use data in a privacy-safe way to be more tactical with your marketing as well. Yeah.
You have a question?
Cool. I just wanted to push back slightly on the AI, or strongly maybe, on the AI question. Because I think that AI is changing really quickly, and I think it is going to be a threat to the agencies. But I think it's also an enabler, which was part of the previous question. And also, I think Google, Google historically did try and disintermediate agencies at one point, and then they gave up and stopped doing that. But I think now they're going to come back again, and they want to own the end-to-end of the entire chain. I think that agencies do to some degree. But at the same time, I think I totally agree with you. Humans in the loop are key to drive strategy.
Yeah.
But I think you could pick up on new tools that will be emerging really quickly. I've seen some already. To actually take advantage of that so you can offer more services to more customers. So I think it's both a threat and an opportunity.
For sure.
I don't know if this is a question or just a statement.
That's a good discussion point.
But I'm just curious.
I'm waiting for the question, but
Yeah, I'm just curious.
It's okay.
I'm curious because I think you went in the AI side, but you didn't go to the enabling side. Do you see an opportunity for yourselves to be more enabled as you go forward?
Look, we are a boutique agency. We're not the Dentsus of the world or whatever the case may be, so we don't have those ad tech stuff and whatever the case may be. What is to our advantage is, as an example, we're a Google partner, so we get opportunities to liaise directly with the Google team, get the latest insights, get the latest products, what's in beta, and Google are literally trying everything in their utmost to incorporate this whole AI model into their advertising system. So like Performance Max, as an example, is literally like audience signals, AI. But like I said, the AI thing's kind of been around within the interfaces for quite some time. But then there are different things that you can do nowadays, like create custom scripts and all this type of thing to add into your ad accounts and that type of thing to get deeper granular data, not necessarily an AI opportunity, but to get more granular data, essentially, to help with optimization.
Oh, we have another question there. Damn, I really want to ask this question, but okay. No, go for it.
Kanisha from Digital Doorway. I have a counterpoint.
Sorry, what?
A counterpoint, because AI is still quite stupid. And if you've used it in agency land and you just plug in a campaign, it will run quite poorly.
Exactly, that's where the human part comes in, right?
Yeah, and the tools are incredible. So my question for you is, because we're also a boutique agency, we have been using AI, and we've found the only real benefit to be crunching data for insight. So Gemini, beautiful, take this spreadsheet and give me the answers for my report in a minute. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Spit out a table, create a cute graphic, lovely. Without that question and without interrogating the data, it doesn't give you anything. So what potential do you see around media management, in particular optimizing around budgets for AI?
So just to quickly touch on letting the system just run its thing. So like Facebook, as an example, it's got this Advantage Plus product that literally just spray and praise, in my opinion. So we as an agency don't necessarily then use that. We use specific placements. We'll do the Advantage Plus perhaps as a data audience gathering tool, but then using that information to drive further campaigns or getting insights out of that. What was the other thing I was going to say now? I forget.
For like media management?
So, yes, sorry. So with, like I say, Google is literally trying to do as much as they can to start giving more information. So I'm sure you know with PMax, you literally could see nothing. It wasn't telling you anything. Is it going on YouTube? Is it going wherever? And all that stuff's starting to change. Like they're even giving us insights on a keyword level now. So they're making it, they're making it more trustworthy for advertisers to want to use their channel because, like you say, like sometimes it's just a mishmash of nothing. So just tapping into new things that are available to you, staying sort of on trend and finding out what's coming up from what Google doing, what are they changing, that will help a lot with media management and optimization. Yeah.
We have another question in the audience.
Okay, so...
2 more questions then.
Yeah, my question is basically more on a like a very small business that just wants to onboard a marketing agency, and you are not really familiar with how they'll benefit you and things like that. But you just hear that, hey, you need to onboard a marketing agency that'll help you. So how would you take someone through that journey to a successful onboarding of the right marketing agency for their business?
I can start in that one, and then you can follow through. So I'm in the consulting space, right? Not the agency space. And I often kind of say I don't play in that sandbox. I let the agencies do the thing. They're the operators to go through. But I have encountered many times that you as a business, you know you need to find a marketing agency to service your business and that. There are a lot of agencies that they specialize in certain aspects of marketing. So in case in point for Bianca and her company, she specializes in SEO and paid media. But you as a business, that is not the only marketing service that you need. And so that's where consultancies come in quite handy, because we're able to provide you with unbiased advice and link you up with the right service providers to be able to do that. And the first starting point is to get to understand your business, what stage you are at your business, what the pain points are that you are experiencing in your business, what resources you have available and what resources you're lacking. And then understanding like what your goals are and setting realistic goal expectations. Once that's in play, then we're able to say to you, okay, there needs to be an investment allocation in terms of branding or content marketing, and then paid media or social or CRM system setups or tracking. And then finding and linking you with the right service provider that specializes in that, and then building up stage by stage, so that you have like a proper, your whole marketing efforts is now running like a well-oiled engine, and then you start to sort of really get your results. What I often warn businesses about is, make no mistake, when you're going to an agency or a service provider, they are there to sell their service to you, right? So you need to make sure you've got your ducks in a row and you know how to brief them properly. Otherwise, they are going to sell you the Rolls Royce of new creative branding, and then you realize you spend $500,000 on stationery and business cards, when that money would probably be better invested in actual tracking systems and CRM systems for your business, right? So I would say that's a good starting point. And then, I suppose, from an agency onboarding perspective, where you have to now discuss budgets with client.
Absolutely 100% agree with what you just said. Like sometimes there's like a knee-jerk reaction and you're like, but I heard I must do this, and I heard you have to have a clear plan in terms of what it is that you want to do. And also something that's important is to know what your marketing budget is. Sometimes clients come to us and we're like, we don't know how much to spend. We can help them with that because we've got tools to help us sort of forecast how much a client must be spending, but that's very, very important. And also knowing what is it that you want to achieve. You need to be clear on that. So we can then help you and onboard you based on the steps that it is that you want to achieve with your business. But with us, you'll go through a full onboarding process, like we'll get access to your channels, have a look at those, that type of thing. So there's a whole long checklist that we run through to get you onboarded, to make this sure we're clear, we're all on the same page. But I would say those are the most important things. Like you need to be clear in terms of what it is that you want, and then we'll guide you through the rest.
If you're providing a shitty brief to an agency, don't expect magic results as a result, right? So sometimes people need good instructions. You need to tell what you want and know what you want and how to communicate.
Briefing template. Ask your agency for a briefing template.
Briefing
they
templates.
should have one,
Yes. We have a question in the front over here. Okay, you've got a mic.
Hi, Taryn from Legal Ninjas. I just wanted to ask, when you're in the position that you're a brand new startup and you have very limited resources for marketing, can AI tools not maybe be helpful in that scenario, because you don't necessarily aren't able to afford humans at that stage? And then also a follow-up question is, if someone approaches you to do marketing on a results-only payment basis, is that something that you should be wary of, or is that like a common thing in the industry?
Yeah. Okay. I'll answer this one. So, to your first question, if you have no budget and you feel you can't afford and you want to try and do it yourself, but you have no experience, I'm going to give you this analogy. You got a toothache, right? It's your choice if you want to try and pull it out yourself or self-medicate, or whether you actually want to invest and go to a professional that's going to make it a little bit more painless.
I love that.
So it's entirely a personal thing, and it's up to you with your personal preference. I think I found a lot of startup businesses. It's a good indicator on how serious you are about your business. So if you're wanting an agency service provider or any service provider to take your business seriously, you need to prove and show to us that you are very serious about your business and you're willing to invest in it. The second part of your question is around results-based things. Ooh, girl, the amount of times I have had sweat equity offers for my business consulting advice at trade exchange rates, I could have would have been having like those fancy cars that they all talk about driving around. But it doesn't, it's not going to get you the proper results that you want to get. So I would find that as a bit of a red flag. I've had to always say, like, I cannot invest in other people's businesses at the expense of my own. So if you are expecting someone to take all the risk to help your business get up, their business is going to suffer as a result. So I would not recommend that. But I also know in startup and that the hustle is real. So sometimes trade exchange deals are really good. But I would always advise that there needs to be an exchange of actual money going in from one bank account to another. There's just a psychological switch on about that. If you want someone to be invested in giving your business results and putting the effort and work in, you need to pay for it. It's that analogy, you know, pay peanuts and you get monkeys kind of thing.
Yeah, so I also just want to add with regards to the AI tool and that type of thing. So if you're a startup and you're not in the space yet to want or can have an agency or a freelance or whatever the case may be to run your campaigns, like I think content generation and that type of thing could be a good starting point with an AI tool so that you can just start getting brand awareness and that type of thing out of there. Out of that content, rather. Obviously, you're not going to just believe what the AI tells you. You, as the brand expert and the owner of your brand, will know whether this AI thing's talking crap or not. But that could help with content generation. And then, personally, I don't feel there's anything wrong with engaging with an agency and saying, listen, this is what I want to do. Should I do it or should I not do it? That's what I said, like earlier on, like we get clients coming to us saying, we don't know how much to spend. So we'll help them with that. Or we'll ask them, have you got a campaign set up or not? If not, we'll give you some guidance on how to do it, like a short training session, which is not going to cost you a fortune. You don't have to worry about a monthly fee, and all of that is sort of then covered. But to your point, if you pay monkeys, peanuts, you get monkeys. But also, you can't also then just go set up a campaign if you want to do it without speaking to an agency and getting advice, and then expect it to work and let the AI just sort of figure out what it is that you want. There are a lot of agencies that run on an arbitrage model, like you've just said, they only get paid if they get leads. But to Amanda's point, you've got to have your shit together as well, so that we can ensure that we get you the right leads so we can get paid. But yeah, that normally comes with a higher price tag as well, running on an arbitrage model. Yeah.
Do we have another question?
It looks like it's so exciting. Everybody's engaged.
Yeah. No.
Sorry, I just actually have more of a. I wanted your opinion. I don't know if you saw the Google's announcement with the AI Max for search campaigns. I kind of just wanted your opinion on that.
I saw that this morning. I saw it. I haven't read up more about it. It's becoming a very tricky space. With stuff like that, I mean, search is always going to be competitive, no matter what. And then you've got the Temus of the world who are literally just like shopping at the top of the page. So I would say your SEO and your paid search strategy have to work together very closely, because it's going to get more competitive. So you need to maybe perhaps look at, if you do your search volume report, how much those keywords are actually going to cost me if I want to rank for those. And then look at your SEO strategy and say, okay, organically, what do we need to fix and what do we need to make stronger so that Google can crawl those keywords and rank us organically. So I think the two need to work together quite tightly. But to answer your question, I saw it. I haven't read it, so I can't answer your exact question at this point. So, but good question. And we knew it was coming.
I promise you, this is the last one.
We don't mind.
We've got another one. I just wanted to answer the opinion on that one and just kind of reel it in more of like business and stuff for SMEs, because I can see there's quite a few people in the room here that are very technical, and I don't want it to kind of go over everyone else's heads. But I think what you might be noticing as a business owner that does not understand digital media and marketing in the industry is you can very quickly see how complex it is, and that's why there is value in outsourcing to an agency professional, because this industry is so dynamic, it is evolving at such a rapid rate, it is very, very difficult to stay on top of it. And again, remind yourself, what business are you in? Are you in the business of marketing? No? Well, then you should outsource it. For me, as a business owner, I'm not an accountant. I'm not a financial guru. So I'm not going to try and do that internally within my business. I would rather outsource that to professionals. I don't want to take the risk and try and figure out taxes and accounting services and all that kind of stuff. There's ways, means to be able to know when to outsource and when to run things internally. We have a question over there.
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Matthew from NetWords. I have a question regarding, Google Ads in a case where I've been doing it for about almost 2 years now, and I kind of knew about it before, but asking and speaking to a lot of people that have been in the industry for a while, they've said how back in the day you had more control over certain things in the ads and the placements and the setup. And now with the AI coming in, it seems like Google takes more control. It's more like just give us the money and let us do our thing. Whereas it's so restrictive to kind of get that nitty-gritty detail, like with regards to locations and all of this information about where, who's clicked on the ad and how has this happened. They don't display it like easily for you to find, and you really have to dig for those insights.
Yeah, so you've got to be very careful with Google Ads, because they will switch settings on in your account without you knowing that they've done it. So it comes back to, well, not back to, but your campaign setup's got to be to the point. You've got to be very clear in terms of what you want the system to do and what you don't want it to do. We've actually had an instance where a client has come to us and said, one that we've onboarded afterwards, this is all happening. And then we looked at their account and there were settings that Google just switched things on, to be honest with you. So if you're not vigilant and not reading what's happening in the news, you don't know that they've actually done that. So to your point, yes, they just sometimes do what they want to do. But that's where having eyes, like our campaign management team, obviously look at things every day, every second day, every third day to see, is everything okay? Are we spending? Are we on pace? But you've got to be vigilant because, like I say, it happens where Google just switch things on when they've got a new thing. Like with demand gen, now you can have your landing page pull in with your demand gen campaign automatically, and maybe you don't want that because your landing page might look shit, and then your ad looks shit. So things like that, you've got to be just check out for that because they do switch things on automatically.
Yeah. I would use the analogy, sometimes I'm a little bit of a car nut, some people might know this, but I think to your point, Matthew, of the question, right, it's things have evolved. There's a difference of back in the day, it was a lot more manual. So if you're used to driving a manual car, now it becomes automated, and now with the AI and as things have evolved, now it's practically a self-driving car, right? But it all depends on what you're comfortable with and what level of autonomy you want to give the technology. Is probably how things are changing. One of these days, again, as long as you are punching it into the right GPS, that it goes through its destination, then you're okay. But you need to know how to give the tools and the technology the right instructions for the output that you want.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I also said earlier on, PMax was a black box for so long. And people were why are we using PMax? Because we don't know what's going on, as an example. And now Google are going, shit, okay, we're hearing these people. You're able to see more, that type of thing. But like I said just now, again, human intervention. Someone has got to go look and see what's going on and making sure that everything's running as it should. Yeah.
Okay, perhaps a closing question. I don't know if we have, we've totally run over time.
I don't know.
We're good. What red flags do you advise businesses to watch out for when it comes to an agency? Let's be honest, finding a service provider is very much like dating or like a marriage, right? You are entering into a commitment and there's a lot on the line because now you're giving them your money and you're sharing a lot about what your business is and the stage it's at. Like you were saying, there's a lot of trust and transparency and communication that needs to happen.
Yeah.
But again, you're approaching an agency, I'm just saying as a business owner, and to say, I want you to help me grow my business and invest in that kind of thing. How much money is it? And, sometimes agencies, they've got dollar signs in their eyes. And they'll say whatever they can in order to get the business deal.
Yeah.
So what red flags do you have or can you help identify if I, as a business owner, am looking for an agency, what I need to look out for?
So I'd say someone that says that they can do everything. Not everyone is an expert in everything. So if you're approaching an agency and they're going, no, don't worry about it, we can do all of that for you, bullshit. And also there's no problem, nothing wrong with, and also like full service normally comes with a bigger price tag, and then what they do is they put a junior resource on your business because they can make a bigger buck out of it. So in my last 17 years of experience, there's nothing wrong with, as a client, having a creative agency, having an SEO agency, having a paid media agency. The important thing, though, with that is that those agencies actually speak to each other. It's not a competition. We're all there for the same goal, is to make our client shine at the end of the day. So rather do that, have a different agency for each thing that you need, because a full-service agency is probably going to sell you something that they tell you need, but you don't actually need it. So that would be a red flag for me.
Okay. Oh dear, we have another oh my goodness, we got another 2 questions.
How much more time do we have?
Session.
I don't know. Are you guys all right that we just stay on stage here? Okay, yes. All right. Until we get kicked off.
Yeah, thank you very much. Alex Smith here from NetWords. I think I just want to speak a little bit to this point from an agency perspective, because I think it's really important, as you say, that an agency is a long-term relationship.
Yes.
And you really become business partners. So you must be sure that you're working with somebody that you can work with and that will stick with you, and that has a high customer retention. So there's 3 things that I would consider. Firstly, just do proper research. Go and have a look at that company's reviews. Speak to the existing clients so that you can get good first-hand knowledge of ask them, who are your clients? Give us a few referrals, and then speak to the clients as you would do a job interview, for instance.
Yeah.
I would say industry experience. So ask them, we service about 50 clients in various industries. Ask your agency, do you have experience in this specific industry? Because it's very interesting. I mean, let's say it's tourism, for instance, or fintech, whatever. It's great to have that embedded knowledge already. Yeah. And make sure that you can work with a team. So I think those are very important considerations in choosing an agency.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you.
I think another important red flag we've noticed, and B, this is kind of your question, is when an agency or someone says, oh, we'll get you leads, like immediately, or like guaranteed instant leads you spend with us. It's all very like gimmicky, like sleazy car salesman type of pitches that you might pick up on. And also when they say that we can get you ranked up on the Google page, top sheet.
Yeah, first page. Sure, we can do that. Don't worry, within a week we'll do that for you.
Okay, but why would that be considered a red flag?
Because it's like someone making a promise because they don't understand how the platform works and saying it's going to happen. You could get someone on page 1, right? But then your paid search strategy probably isn't like the right one, because now you're paying inflated fees to be on page 1. So not true. And also with SEO, with your organic rankings, that's a marathon, not a sprint. SEO is a long-term strategy. For your brand, you're always going to rank well on page 1 from an SEO perspective. Bidding on brand terms from a search perspective is also cheaper. But there's many ways to skin a cat. But if someone says to you, we're going to run paid search, or we're going to do your SEO and you're going to be in page 1 next week, probably a red flag.
I'm not letting you go. One more question.
Okay. You're really stuck here.
Lyle here from Realm Digital. My question is regards to ROI. When partnering with a marketing agency, I mean, ROI is obviously one of the top of the list things that we look at. And if a marketing agency mentions that they are able to increase the time frame it takes to see a return on investment through the use of AI, should you take that with a pinch of salt, or is that an actual thing?
Look, ROI is very specific to a client, and that's why, like I said earlier on, doing the audit and understanding what the conversion rate is on their website and that type of thing is going to give you an indication of whether their ROI is also unrealistic or not, type of thing. So the client needs to know as a business what their conversion rate looks like. We can ask questions like, on their website, what's their conversion rate looking like? And then have a discussion and say, listen, your ROI is unrealistic, or yes, we can meet that. But we would never hand over ROI to AI, because that's something that you need to manage and optimize to make sure you get that ROI for the client.
Yeah, I'd call red flag on that one. I
Let's-
would. For those in the audience, ROI, return on investment, so whatever money you're putting in, you're wanting to get profit out. But hey, if an agency is saying that they can provide that, or a service provider says that they can get you those results, they should be able to back it up with proof, right? Proof is in the pudding. So they must show you some case studies or reports or data
That's
to back
again,
it up. And
like
then
I said, ask
try
the
a trial.
questions. Ask the questions. Ask the
Okay, let's give a round of applause to Bianca.
Thanks for joining the Big5D Podcast. This show is a production of Big5 Digital and is written, hosted, and produced by me, Charles Laughlin, Big5 Digital's Chief Content Officer. If you have any questions about the show, write to us at info@big5digital.org. Thanks for joining us, and see you next time.